There was a recent news item in the paper, and obviously circulating around, that here in Illinois, where I happen to live, after this spring, there's a House bill that is stating that after this spring, when the time changes back to daylight savings, whatever. When we spring forward again, there will be no falling back in Illinois. It will just, time will go on, and on and on and on. Now, I realize that daylight savings time has not always been a thing, and therefore not having it is not a huge deal. But there are a variety, obviously we have time zones that change based on where you are geographically in the United States and in the world. And there are various states that abide by different time zone rules. Arizona, for example, does not ever change. So sometimes when, we have Illinois versus Arizona, sometimes they are 2 hours behind and other times they are 1 hour behind, based on what time of year it is here in Illinois. Indiana, for example, for a portion of my childhood, we had no time difference. Sometimes it was 1 hour different, and I think even sometimes it was 2 hours different, and I'm not sure really how that worked out. And I may be totally wrong about that. But I know that there was a period of time, when I was younger, it did change to where Indiana was always 1 hour different rather than sometimes an hour different and sometimes not. I don't think the 2 hours thing is true. Just thinking here. But, back to my point. That how on earth do human beings get to decide just randomly, oh, we're not going to abide by this change anymore, this rule that we've established for, I don't know, a couple hundred years now. Just all of a sudden we decide, yeah, let's go ahead and not do that anymore. I mean, you could say the same for just about any law that gets passed. Like, why was it illegal then and it's not now, or vice versa? Why did we change the time then and not now? And I don't know the answer, except that it's a power thing, I would think. We want to decide to not change the time because... No, I didn't read the whole article, and I didn't really care to, but just the idea that human beings should not get to make those decisions in the first place. Like, obviously we have to have time to manage schedules and to communicate effectively, but to dictate whether or not we are 1 or 2 or 3 or 18 hours ahead of another place in the world, just pick a time. Pick a time and stick with it. And why mess up something that's... I think the reason they gave was because it's too confusing for people to switch back and forth. Okay, so let's make life easier for the people who can't hack it. That's another video in itself. Making life easier for people that have a hard time keeping up. Psh. Natural selection. Survival of the fittest, right? I don't know. We'll talk about that another time. See you tomorrow.